Let's talk properly. October Red here with Dean Whyte and Johnny Nelson. It's, you know what I like about this? I've never had you two together.
Me and him's done a few things together, but I thought...
Not with me, you haven't.
It was your channel. Clearly not, but look, dynamic duo, man. Big lumps.
Let me just tell you something. Come, squeeze in. That's it. I'm squeezing him. So what I'm saying is, so you're getting grassroots, bringing through grassroots to get up to this level here of getting him on the big screen. That's why he's brought him here, because this boy can fight. He can fight for fun. But this man thought, you know what, I'm giving everybody an opportunity, give him a chance, which I like.
Dean Whyte is known for giving people opportunities. He's known for bringing people through. He's got an eye for talent.
That's in positions that are where you don't get your credit for, but it's all good that on a platform doing great things, I gave them the door. You know what I mean? But I'm not here to gloat about that. It's, you know what I mean? You get your just deserves in time, you know. So
now gloat, do it.
It's all good.
Drop the names.
So people know, they all know. Most people know, man. You know what I mean? If their brain stretches back far enough, they'll know who is who. But look, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, man. We've got new guys. We've got Prince here, which I'm working with. You know, he's on the verge of maybe fighting for a vacant world title shortly. So there's good things around the corner. He had a fight the other day, first time back in UK soil. And we got another show June the 10th coming, so we're just continuing that momentum and building. So June the 10th, June the 24th, July the 29th, we are active.
I can tell you something. So the reason why I like that is because I know when Brendan, before there was TV, and what keeps our fight game alive is the small hole shows and committing, and it's a thankless task where you're working with fighters that you're struggling to sell, you're working with fighters that nobody knows about until they break through. I was one of those fighters, and so when I see Dean doing this and he's putting his shows on, I'm thinking, you know what, he's grafting, and people will give promoters a hard time when they're making money, but they don't care when they're losing money. So I'm quite sure once or twice you've lost a bit of dough, but yeah, they don't care about that. So, and it's starting at the grassroots, and I've seen that. I've been on both sides of the fence, and that's why when he brought Prince Allen, I went, I seen you, I know who you are.
Did you say Prince Allen?
No, I didn't say that.
Just checking.
Yeah. In fact, October Red, we are here. Dean Whyte, Prince Patel, and the lovely Johnny Nelson. Prince Patel, introduce yourself for our viewers. I saw you posing on the ring after your win, because I did watch it live on YouTube.
30-1, 25 KOs, and I'm trying to get to Johnny's level of being a world champion. That's the focus, man. Johnny's the motivation right now. I'm trying to get there.
Well, Johnny's licking shots. He's like, yo, you see that? Me, former world champion. You not see it? Then forget.
How old are you?
30.
You're 30 years old?
Yeah, I know. I look young.
Like a baby, man.
I know.
Damn.
Get out of here.
You're experienced, Prince. You're somebody that has fought a lot, but you fought, I believe, over in Africa, or correct me if I'm wrong?
Around Europe, around Africa as well, the Middle East as well. Just off the radar, really. But now, obviously, I'm back in the UK. I sold a solid 300 plus tickets. I'm ready to make a noise now in the UK, hopefully on TV next.
How did the link up happen with yourself and Dean?
Dean, his slogan is he's diversity in boxing. So obviously, I thought, me being the first Indian Commonwealth champion, Dean being someone who likes diversity, let's work together, let's do something big.
Talking about big things, Dean, I'm going to push on to you. You said you've got another show out on June the 10th. The momentum that BlvckBox Global is building. I know Johnny Nelson's kind of alluded to the small hall circuit, but the setup that you have, it may be a small hall, but it's a big show when it comes to the ideas and the presentation.
It's a big deal, you know. Big mentality. We aim to please. The objective is to kind of give back a little bit, because sometimes, you know, these are guys who are building, and sometimes, you know, people just want to see solid fights. So sometimes I understand and I appreciate the support from myself and people in boxing. So we try and give back. We have so much different activities with the food out the back, you know, jerk chicken. We got bare different. Yeah, we have the salmon burgers. Everyone, listen, even the British boxing bull guys who buy, they the snapper, the jerk chicken. You know, it's inviting, and it's something different. You know what I mean? The energy. So it's the culture of UK. It's cosmopolitan, and we're all together in one and off one, singing off the same hymn sheet, which is great, and it brings for great energy on the night. We've got the punch machine, we've got the 360, we've got so many interactive, great DJ that plays good music, and the fights are actually very good. But at the same time, I still want to give them something. When nothing isn't happening, they're able to enjoy themselves and keep themselves entertained, because you want to be entertained. Because even when some of the people's fights are finished, a lot of the fans still stay over because it's a good night out. You know what I mean? It's a good night out with your family and friends. You can have a drink, watch good fights if you love boxing, and hear good music, and just have a chat with and catch up with mates.
What is it like for yourself then? You fought on the cards. What is your impression? You fought on there for the very first time. What was that energy that you got from Dean shows?
Truthfully, I think Dean's is the best presented small shows. I think it's good enough. Some of the fights that were on there, I think they're good enough for TV. But yeah, it's amazing. If I don't get on TV, I'll probably back out on one of his shows.
I'm sure soon enough. Dean, that's another thing that I could ask you actually. Trying to like get broadcasting. I know that you broadcast live on a YouTube stream. Is there any way that you could try and plug into like a main channel? Because apparently, you know, Sky can broadcast anything. There's channels on there.
Can I answer that? The thing is, you don't know who's watching your shows. You don't know, and many promoters will put shows on, and various broadcasters will go and watch and think, and they want to see consistency. They want to think, you know what, I like this, I like that. And I've been to one of his shows, just one, but each time you're hearing the vibe, you're hearing the energy, you're hearing the good vibe from the show, and it's just a matter. It just takes one to catch on to it. And I'm telling you now, on a good day, an outside show, and they can get that atmosphere and put it on TV. Then all of a sudden, it's about opportunity. But remember, sometimes you've got to kiss ass for a long time before you can kick ass, and that's what he's doing. And so that's why I get it and I like it, because I've seen it. And that's why they brought people like me through. I've seen it coming through, and I'm thinking that's why you've got to rate it, because it's creating opportunities for fighters and himself for people to see it. It's just, that's to say it all.
Dean's mentality is a grafter then, you know, to project the future, like I said, to predict the future. Where do you see his shows going?
I think if he carries on doing what he's doing, they can't ignore him. I think fighters will gravitate towards him, and I think it's just a matter of time before a broadcaster said we're interested in what you're doing. It's just a matter of time. So as long as he keeps doing it, stick it out. Because listen, they're talking about getting black promoters here in the UK. You know, successful black promoters here in the UK. Name me one. Name me one. So now you're seeing success here, and the problem is we ain't born with a silver spoon in our mouth. So therefore, it costs money. And I said initially, you're going to lose. He's losing money initially. Now and again, people don't talk about it. If he keeps doing what he's doing, gets the backing he's getting, puts the shoulder on his joint in the fashion he's doing it, it's a culture that cannot be ignored. And that's what I'm saying. So all he has to do is be consistent, stick it out. Your time will come.
Consistent and persistent. But we're going to talk about why we are here today. It is the undercard. There's two undercards, slight delay. We've got the first one with Franchon Cruz DeJean. I've got to get the names right. Yeah, and Savannah Marshall. Your thoughts on that, Dean?
Yeah, big champ. Yes, big champ. And Savannah Marshall. Savannah's, you know, she done a good account of herself. Obviously, she fell short against Clarissa Shields. Good fight. This woman means business as well, still, you know. So, boy, I don't know if you ain't heard of her, I'm sure you're going to find her come whatever date this is. What is it, 17th of June? Okay, Manchester. Interesting fight, you know what I mean? I've watched her in Madison Square Gardens, I think, when she actually won the titles. So, yeah, she's on job. So it's going to be interesting. But Savannah is going up, I believe,
yeah.
Right? So she's going to be the faster, probably, and speedier. And she's got skill, you know, as well herself. And she can take lick in her head as well, Carl. You saw, what's her name, give her some rotted licks. So, but this one here is stronger than the other one. So it's going to be interesting. But good luck to both ladies. Make the best lady win, you know what I'm saying?
Prince?
Yeah, it's a good fight. It's a good fight for women's boxing, and
Absolutely.
it's for all the belts, man. It's something I'm trying to win, a world title.
Look at those eyes, determined, the way he's staring over there. Soon it'll be your time. It's just about that patience and, like we said, that persistence and commitment to the sport.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to become the first Indian world champion. I think once I do that, I'll inspire other Indians to take up boxing, and hopefully there'll be more people like me winning world titles.
We love it. Your thoughts then on this?
I think it's a good fight. I think Savannah stepping up her weight. I think I've always rated Savannah. She reminds me of Carlos Monzon. If you're not an old school historian, check him out. That's how she fights. She's a good thinking fighter. I think stepping up in the weight division, he'll suit her down to the ground. She's got to use brain over brawn for this one because Dillian can fight and she can punch and she's tough. So Savannah's got to be smart with it. Peter Fury's a smart guy, so he'll know exactly what he's doing, why he's doing it, and what has to be done. So to me, I think this is one of those fights where you can get giddy and excited about it. Then, of course, you're talking Liam Smith and Chris Jr. What can change from the last time? I don't know. And the problem is this: when Chris gets up there, I've got a rating for putting himself in this situation because he's going to get 1,000,001 questions, he's going to get mocked, he's going to get ridiculed, and he's going to get asked the question, what can you change from what I'm last time? Because you had a great camp, you know, you got turned over. There were no injuries, you got turned over. What can change? So for Chris to do this, I don't think it's a second option, and I think it's his only option. And so Chris has got to fix it and think, well, what can I do about this fight? Because, you know, we got to a point where we were kind of hypnotised by forgetting how good Liam actually was. And I was one of them. I said, you know what, Chris has got a chance. Then Liam just like, I reminded everybody, no, look. Yeah. And he might remind everybody. So again, I don't know what will change, but I think it's a great fight. I think the intrigue's going to be unbelievable. I think the build-up's going to be ridiculous. And I rate Chris for putting himself, he's going to be in a firing line. He's going to be on the firing line.
Prince, your thoughts on the last fight as well?
Well, maybe Chris said he was 50%, so hopefully he comes 100% this time and puts up a better fight this time. Definitely, yeah.
You're a fighter. You know how it works. Everyone likes to talk up the game and have that banter, get that crowd to either love them or hate them. But those tactics, as we see, can sometimes go wrong. Like you said, it was that 50%, 60%, and then he ended up coming up short. The risks of running your mouth, and not being able to deliver.
It's probably painful, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to happen again. So now he's out for revenge, and it makes the fight and the card even bigger because it's repeat or revenge basically, and his career, I would say, is on the line. So he wants to try and put a good show for himself.
How do you think the fight goes?
I think Eubank, if he is 100%, could beat him, but Smith is very defensively good and he's very accurate with his shots as well, so it's a good 50-50 fight.
His trainer was Roy Jones Jr. You never know who Chris is going to have in his corner. I'm not sure who it is this time. You obviously have a fighting trainer yourself. You've got a coach yourself. Yeah. How does that relationship work, and how do you see Chris's relationship with Roy Jones pushing him through to this rematch?
I think Chris is a world-class fighter anyway, so I feel that any coach he goes with just adds to him. Maybe he didn't spend too long with Roy Jones at the time. I don't really know, but I
think he needs to just forget that Roy Jones stuff. Sorry to cut you, my friend. We need to throw that. Roy Jones was great as a fighter. I'm not so sure as a coach. It's the name, and it always happens in boxing. A lot of guys go for names. You know, there's guys that are unknown quantities that are probably better teacher and coaches, whatever the name or title you wish to give, that are better than some people. Not make sure because you're a great fighter makes you a great coach, or equally that you weren't a great fighter and that don't make you a great coach. Because some guys that weren't good fighters are better coaches than some guys that were better fighters. So I feel if Chris goes back to being Chris, forgetting Roy Jones style, keeping it long, using his feet a little bit, all that fannying around on the ropes, it's deadly. As you saw, it was devastating. You see that rope stuff? If you don't get that right, you go to sleep. A prime example, the other day, Babbage wasn't holding and the guy was teeing off and he got caught on the rope. The ropes is the perfect place for someone to start detonating their shots. They throw to the body, you want to drop your hand, they come over the top, and then they go back downstairs. It's just a basic combination of boxing. You don't want to be there. It's the wrong place. If you're on the ropes, you should be trying to tie up. If you're on the ropes, you want to shimmy and try and use your feet if you can. But you do not want to sit there being either buzzing or trying to do rope-a-dope and getting it wrong. Because what he did, he rolled rope-a-dope and rolled into the uppercut. Sleep. That's, you understand? I've seen him box way better against other guys. He boxed good against George Grover, and I didn't expect that. I'm not going to pretend that I believe Smith had that in his arsenal. I believe obviously he's a talented fighter that could possibly do anything, and it was a good solid fight, but I just felt like fighting someone like George Groves, who was a devastating puncher, bigger than him, and he couldn't knock him out. I didn't see that coming. So
I spoke to George Groves and Carl Froch before the fight, and both of them said Chris can take a shot. Chris is tough. And those two guys are heavy-handed fighters. So I think a lot that contributed to was the tactics, was the weight drain, and he, last week, you know, Roy was saying, you know, he wasn't happy how Chris lost the weight a few weeks coming to the fight. And sometimes, you know, you're going to listen to an old head. You're going to listen to an old wise head because they've been there, they've done that, they're trying to explain something to you. If you ain't listening, you're too head hard, you see the consequences, and that's what happened to him.
Babbage in Poland then, you kind of like touched on it there, but I'm going to go to you first, Johnny. Babbage, I will be honest, he's somebody that I didn't really see as a boxer. He's a brawler. So I knew that when he came up against a real challenge or somebody that could challenge his boxing ability, I did have the feeling that he'd come up short. I'm just going to be honest with you, but yourselves, your thoughts on it?
I think Babbage, so he's got this new trainer that he's working with. I can't remember his name, can't remember his name. But it was the worst thing he could have done. And I said this before the fight.
I think he tried to.
I said this before the fight. If there was ever a time the Savage had to be the Savage, it had to be that fight then. But if you're stuck in betwixt and between, it was the wrong place to be stuck in betwixt and between. So he should have gone out there to steamroll him. Because my man, he was unbeaten. Knocked 13 of his 14 opponents out. Knocked 6 of them out in the first in the first 6 rounds. First round. He'd never been past 4 rounds, bar once. So that tells you initially this guy's dangerous. If you're trying to box, unless you are sweet and cute and you can box and you're smart, then, and Babbage has never been that guy, then you go in there and do what you do what got you there in the first place. Now the problem is that loss for Babbage will burn him. So for him, the only way he's going to get his head back in the game is to get a rematch. He's got to hope he can get a rematch to say we got to do this again, because the fashion of that loss will affect his confidence, his ego, who he is as a fighter. You know, he's got to get back in there and think, you know what, I messed up there, because I saw him, Mama's trying to drop a jab. I'm like, what are you doing? Do what you do. And I think the Bridgerweight title suited him down to the ground, but he needs a confidence builder to get back in there again. He could beat that guy, but he made a mistake.
I think he lost too much weight for that fight. He was I think they were saying, was he like 6 or 7, 8 pounds smaller than he usually is? I think he was trying to be a bit too sweet and cute with it, losing too much weight and not being the Savage, as Johnny said. I think tactics were probably a little bit wrong. I'm just devastated for him because, you know, I wanted to be there to support as well. But the tactics definitely weren't spot on. But look, he'll come again. If he comes back with the Savage and be smart, I think in that fight, if he did just use, I understand maybe not being a jabber, but use a bit of angles and use a little bit of movement to you know, bull a matador, because the guy kept charging. If he could have, you know, pivoted and turned some angles and used his feet just to take the wind out of the guy's sail a little bit, because that guy was bigger than him anyway, and the record itself was talking for itself. So you should have said, you know what, let me try and feel out how this can go. The first round was always going to be tricky, being the away fighter, so you wanted to try and maneuver the situation and study the chessboard, but he just got it totally wrong, I feel. And look, it's just one of them now. He's a
rematch.
Yeah, I think he should try and rematch, because there's nothing. Look, he's going to get paid well and you're going to fight for a world title. I think he needs to go back to being the Savage, and just trying to, you know, work on, if you are on the ropes, tying up, trying to keep your hands up first and foremost, because his hands were just all over the place, and that's where he was getting caught.
Yeah, I think he got clipped early, and that discombobulated him, and that's why he's thinking, I'm a boxing, I'm doing what the trainer said, I'm going to do what's instinctive.
Yeah, that was a big mistake, trying to box when you're buzzing. You're either should be trying to feint, move, circle, or trying to, when he comes in, hold or something. But he didn't attempt to hold. But look, sometimes when you're in that position, I guess, you know, it's just fight or flight. And in that one, he thought, let me just go for a shootout, what I normally do, because sometimes that works and he can clip the guy. But that guy is a seasoned guy that understands, listen, this is my moment, this is my time, and I'm not playing. You're not getting off the hook. You are not getting off the hook.
Prince?
I think what Johnny said, it's gonna be eating him up inside. So I think a rematch is what he needs. Definitely.
Finally, I can't not talk about Dillon White. I can't. Dillian is Dillian. We know Dillian.
Fisher's Cup, you know.
but I wanted just your thoughts on him and obviously Bakole. And the reason why I asked this, Dillian is giving an interview to a Polish channel. He's full flow. He's talking about his fighter. Then all you can hear is screaming in the background. Somebody's screaming at Dillian in the background. Then all of a sudden he turns around.
Was it a nonce?
Yeah.
That's what Dillian said back.
Paperwork's about something like that. I don't know.
Paperwork.
I seen something, but hey, listen, I thought it was fabrication. I thought, it was slander. but I saw some paperwork. So
You've seen some public documents that are out on websites that clarify what he's saying is true.
I actually thought, when I heard that, I thought,
On public record.
Dillon, man, be careful because you get sued.
Yeah,
you get sued. So
it's in public domain though. So
It's
I
on
don't
public
know.
record. It's on public record. There's certain stuff that he's done. It's a bit questionable.
So talking the fight itself, you know, what he did was he's trying to go at Dillian. And he's trying to, but the thing is, he's in a position where he's in a position where he's chasing. Dillian don't need to look back on him. You know, Dillian's looking on the bigger fish to find. Unfortunately, he's in the who needs him camp. He's got nothing to offer. It's not like he sells millions of tickets, but you know what, you're looking at what he's done. It's got people talking. Maybe that'd be a good fight. If you're Dillian, you're thinking, I want to fight, but this is business. So my business is Anthony Joshua. My business is getting a rematch with the guys that turned me over. He's got to think like that. So I understand what you're saying, but I understand it must be so hard for him to hold it down and bite his lip, thinking, I want to take you. That's why he's saying, come upstairs. Come upstairs away from the camera. I just start laughing.
Show you some manners.
Yeah.
You have to learn. But anyway, look, I feel. Now look, I understand what he's doing. We understand, but there's a way, a manner, how to do it. He's in the right mind as a fighter to be calling out all the guys in front of him. And he, as he stated, I'm not a gangster, I just want to fight in the ring. But what understand, but when you act tough and do that, sometimes, you know, these kind of things happen. But look, on the business end of things, Sky does not have the funding, not being rude, they don't have the money to put on a fight for Dillon White. Dillon White is earned his position to get paid handsomely, just like the rest of the fighters. Any of these guys, they're not going to look at this guy. He is good, he's technically good, he's very relaxed in throwing his shots. I think he is very talented. I feel he's got a long road to go. Michael Hunter has been waiting there for you for this rematch. I think that's the road you should go. You should stop, because you don't bring any business to the table. You're not a pay-per-view star. You don't sell much tickets. You don't do anything. So what I feel, you got a great win over a gold medalist. A fortunate gold medalist in Tony Yoko. Got a great win nevertheless. I think you should go back and fight Hunter. I think if you can get the Dubois fight, that's a good fight. But yet again, you don't offer Dubois anything but trouble, and it's high risk, low reward. You're in the who needs you club, so it's just dangerous. But there are other low key fighters. You could fight Fraser Clark, for example. They're on the same side of the street. So if you want to call out anyone and talk about fights, you're on the same side. David Adelaide's someone that's coming up just the same. Those two could fight. So he's talking about world class fighters who have earned their position to demand the money they make. Because if you look at Andy Ruiz, look, since he fought Anthony Joshua and made that money, his stock's gone up. Now he won't fight below a certain bar. When you get to that, that's what the table wants.
That's what the problem is. So you look at Chris Eubank. Chris was shouting off Gennady Golovkin. So the fight was never going to happen, but you started talking Chris Eubank in the same sentence of Golovkin. So if you start shouting, I want him, the fight might not happen yet, but it'll happen eventually. But you've got to stop getting people to speak of you in the same term as everybody else. So you've got to try every trick possible. So Bakole's got to try every trick possible. And again, he hasn't got enough to offer for these guys to look back and say...
talk to this big old tough old buffoon and say, let me go fight this man. Not being, he's talented, he's skillful, and he's big and strong. And he's a younger man, and he hasn't had as much wear and tear as these guys in these hard fights. No one's going to look back and say they're going to go and take on you with your coach, the little. Anyway, let me not even say no more. But that man there running off his mouth, sitting down in chair out of breath. But I mean, anyway, look, you see this game, that kind of stuff. Normally we are in a group of people. That kind of stuff there would have ended very badly in a different circumstance. It's unfortunate, but sometimes it happens. You've got to be careful how you conduct yourself and move. We understand you want to fight. He could have even gone up to Dillon and Pat and said, yes, Dillon, what you say, big man? I want to fight you, man. I like what you've done. You know, like trying this, being ignorant and doing that tough guy thing against this maniac as well. You're talking about Dillon. It's not going to end well. But look, like I said, sometimes different strokes for different folks, man. I want to see Martin in some good fights. I definitely would like to see him in a rematch with Michael Hunter. There's so much other fights. Duran Anderson, big baby, he's another star in America, 14-0, 14 knockouts, who's making waves. You should go and do a Jagba. There's people around, top rank, work with Sky. Let's make their Jagba fight and you. Let's see. He's talking about Deontay Wilder. Ben Shalom talking about, what? Are you lost your mind? Not being funny. I love Sky. It's money. It's the big business. That money there. Where's this money coming from?
It's called product association. That's what I'm saying. If you call out one fight and another fight, you've got to get people thinking.
the name.
You've got to put it on. It's putting public pressure on the fighters and their people around it.
But you've got to have there's got to be an appetite for it.
But how's the appetite start unless you start talking about it? So all of a sudden that's been thrown in the mix. You know, Deontay Wilder, like,
steps, you know, there's steps.
Yeah, I
you know, when
understand.
you're building an infrastructure, there's steps, or whatever you're doing in building a property.
if you shout big now, you might not get what you want, but you get close to it.
Okay, yeah,
You know what I mean? It's the build up towards it.
Gentlemen, I know we could carry this on for 768,000 hours. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm very appreciative for all my guests, Johnny Nelson, Prince Patel and Dean Whyte. Until the next time, October Red.
October Red. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Peace.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.